All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Christine, how are you?
I am blessed every day.
You are blessed and you are amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So, listen, I would like to, well, you're never going to see the guy, but I'd like to introduce you to Andy. Andy Neal. We are here with Christine Fluke. Christine is joining us today as the Director of Sales of Urbanize Properties based in South Florida. She's going to tell us a little bit more about that in a second. She's absolutely phenomenal, by the way. Phenomenal. No pressure, by the way, Christine. And she is joining us today is the 20th of February, 2024. And Christine is joining us for our 4 p.m. Central European recording time. Now, Andy, I'm not going to tell you what time it is here now, because I know you like to keep me really like on that 25-minute stuff. Christine and I enjoy speaking to one another. So, and it's my show, so I'm going to do whatever I want. Like I said, she's pretty
Awesome.
phenomenal. So Christine, welcome. Welcome to the show. Any last minute questions? I know I've asked you this a couple times before.
No, I'm good to go. Thank you, Billy.
All right, cool. So we're gonna jump in. We're gonna get started, and we're gonna start it. Oh, Christine, I forgot to tell you. Like they gave me all this, like this major write up. Oh, that was the wrong thing. A major write up on you, like all these pages and stuff like that. It's really, really awesome. And then I condense it down to what my grandmother called my chicken scratch. And so that's
That's your chicken
I've got my
scratch.
chicken scratch here in front of me. So,
Awesome.
all right, here we go. We're going to go ahead and get started, and we are going to get started in 3, 2, 1. So, if you want to understand how having an obsession on service, as well as a solid local reputation, can drive future long distance investing success, then guess what? Today's a conversation you're going to want to listen to until the very, 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 very last word. I promise. You know why? Because today's guest, and this is something I just found out just a little bit ago. I'm going to add this in. I don't normally do this. She actually started her background, well, in the food service industry. And she's going to tell us a little bit more about that. That rings close to my heart, by the way. She also has very, very strong roots in real estate, having a number of different roles from real estate associate, realtor associate. Also, this is really, really cool. Has a super passion for sales. She's done various sales roles. And even today, she is the director of sales at Urbanize Properties. It gives me great, great, great pleasure to welcome to today's conversation, Christine Fluke. Christine, welcome to the show.
Awesome, Billy. I'm so excited to finally be here and spend
Yes.
time with you. We've been trying this for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I'm so
Yes.
glad that we're finally able to be here. I'm excited to share with your audience.
Oh, this is so much fun. You have no idea how happy this makes my heart. Like actually seeing you here and finally being able to connect after, like you said, all these years. So I'm ready to get started. So investing this time with you is going to be absolutely awesome. So are you ready?
Thank you. I'm ready.
I knew you would be. So here's the thing, Christine, you know the routine. You're going to get 5 questions, 2 in the beginning, 3 in the end. Well, actually not really 5 questions because I'm going to ask you some stuff in between. I just don't know how many or what questions I'm going to ask. But I know the very first question is I would love for you to help us understand, where is it that you call home in the U.S.?
U.S., I live in Miami, Florida.
All right,
Been here
fantastic.
since 1999.
Wow. Okay, well, no, yeah, I've been over here a little bit, like 2 years later. No, is that 2 years later? Yeah, 2 years later I came over
Yeah.
here. Wow. Yeah, math. Anyway, so so aside from living in South Florida, I would love for you to help us understand, because I love positivity. Help us understand, what is the most positive thing that's happened either to you, or sometimes I like to say for you, in the last 24 hours?
That's great. I would say, let me stack a couple of wins here. First of all, I woke up today. That's a
Mm.
good win. And I thank God every day for another day. And the next thing is, I recently just booked a trip to go see my little nephew in Texas for his 9th birthday coming up in May. So that was pretty exciting because it's been a couple of years since I've seen him. Actually, yeah, about 2 years. So I'm excited to go and surprise him for his birthday. He doesn't know I'm coming yet. So that's something that's recently just happened in the last 24 hours.
All right, so I'll just have to take, well, first and foremost, and being able to recognize the awesomeness of, even being able to wake up every day and be able to do that in a healthy way is fantastic. And then we're going to have to maybe keep this one kind of low profile until you can get on that flight, because, we're heard in so many different countries around the world. And
Oh,
knowing that his auntie's going to be here, we don't want anybody to find out that you're going to be showing up early.
well, his mom knows, so that's
Okay.
most
All
important.
right. All right. There
So
you go. There you go.
yeah,
Okay. So we're
yeah.
good. We're good. I'm glad we're part of
Okay.
the inside crowd. This is awesome.
Okay. So I guess then this recording is going to come out before me.
Possibly. Possibly. You never know.
Okay.
I know the host, so it may show up a bit earlier,
You can
but
pull some
yeah,
strings.
maybe one or two, maybe one or two. Now, so this is really, really awesome. So I appreciate you sharing that with us as well, Christine. And so I know you and I have connected for a while, and some secrets you may know, but others you may not. And one of them is that I am a recovering perfectionist. So sometimes I try to do things that are a little bit beyond what most would say, or is it kind of the way to do things, i.e., like trying to tell your entire backstory. I think it was like a second and a half I tried to do. Like I was really trying to condense it. I was never going to do that, but I still have this like gene that says, try it, try it, try it. So I'm going to ask for your help, Christine. And first and foremost, I'm going to ask that you help me by you telling your backstory. And you can take as much time as you want because you are our special guest today. And then I'm also going to ask you for another, like a little bit of help. If you can also please talk to us about some of the major decisions that you've made to get to this point in your journey. And then based on that, we'll see the value that you're going to add in today's conversation and what questions I come up with. Sound good?
Excellent. Excellent. Sounds great. So
Over to you.
backstory, I mean, I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. I moved to Texas and went to high school in Houston. And from there, I moved to Orlando, Florida to live with my brother. And that's where the restaurant, well, actually it was prior to that, but let's just start with there, that I worked in the restaurant business. I actually worked at Disney for a little while at the Dolphin Hotel. And one of my job requirements was to dance in a white poodle skirt and a pink top for the guest with an old Wurlitzer record player. So that was required like every hour. So I learned how to serve and dance for the guests at Disney. From there, I moved on to Hard Rock Cafe. So we're talking in these realms of restaurant, a lot of people in these areas that you're constantly serving. I mean, we would do 5,000 guests at Hard Rock before it became where it is today. So fast forward, I moved to Miami in 1999, and that's where I started getting more of the sales bug in my career. So from there, I started working at Miami New Times, which is a weekly paper, and I would go and talk to businesses to get them to run ads in the publication. And within 6 months, I made employee of the rookie of the year. So that was pretty exciting. So I guess I knew that I was obviously doing something right and talking right. From there, my good friend who is the broker of Urbanize Properties, Janet Crusette, she had her license in 2001 and said, hey, you'd be really good at real estate. And I said, oh my gosh, go back to school again and take a test? Oh my goodness. Well, that's exactly what I did in 2004. And I've been in real estate since 2004 and here in South Florida. From 2004, I switched over to commercial real estate in 2006. And here at Urbanize Properties, we're a boutique firm in South Florida, and we've been serving in our community investors' portfolio since then. And just as of recently, we have reached other cities in Florida in doing real estate transactions.
Wow. So there's so many different things. Like there's like so many different areas that I want us to go. But so you get to real estate, but you started talking to us in the beginning, just I guess professionally, kind of on the food service side of things. I'm really curious, I guess even before we get started, you also mentioned that in 1999, when you went to Miami, that's kind of when you started getting into sales, right?
Correct.
So there's a lot of different, like I obviously, well, not obviously, but what you do know about me, I really love the sales profession. I think when done properly, it is without a doubt the most positively impactful profession that exists on earth, right? Um, yeah, I do feel that strongly about it. And so the thing is that it's one of the professions that most people kind of either run away from or cringe when they hear like the sales profession.
Sure.
And I'm just curious, when you went from restaurant industry to sales specifically, what was it that made you run towards sales or even move towards sales? Maybe you were pushed, but what was it about sales that attracted you?
I think I just naturally have a gift to talk to people. I'm not really shy. And it also I believe in sales that you need to have a type of grit, and you
Mm.
also need to have a type of aura, let's call it, covers your body that allows you to deflect objection, being able to handle it, and just being able to talk to people, hopefully always in a positive manner that will lead towards, hopefully a sale. But I think it's just dealing with the hard side of sales that can really make someone cave in if you're not used to handling, well, objection. I mean, that's really what it's about, right? Because sales, you always are looking for ways to generate income. And I think just through the restaurant business and that I started in, I just met all different types of people. And they were, they could be happy, they could be great, they could be on their manners. And then there's people that are rude, just angry. And I think with sales, you just kind of learn how to navigate all those intricacies of the business and sales.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you definitely can navigate those intricacies, but it's one of those things where you start to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. Right. My very first job, I was doing a paper route. I think I was 12, but my very first like quote unquote paycheck job where I was kind of like had to use my social security number and all that other kind of stuff. Well, maybe I did with the people paper route too. I'm getting up there in age, but was in the food service industry, right? It wasn't those golden arches. It was the other one that had the wore the crown. And so I was like, I got started there. And what I started realizing is very similar to what you're saying right now, Christine, is that when you're public facing, like when you are dealing with or serving the public, I mean, you got to have a pretty thick skin pretty quickly because you never know, what kind of day the person in front of you is having, and that was
Very
very
true.
just transactional. But when you are then helping someone to plant a seed of an idea, helping them to make a decision, especially when it starts to come with big numbers, that can also be sometimes a bit intimidating, and sometimes can be a bit frustrating. But you always have to be prepared for what is the person in front of me, what kind of day are they having, what are they going through, and being able to kind of navigate that. I feel like you want to add something else on top of that.
Well, I mean, listen, obviously in sales, a lot of it is the phone, and there's, four personalities that are out there, and you've got to listen to how the other person is sharing with you on the other line. One of the things I've learned is when you talk to somebody and they're starting, really soft, then you try to match yourself with that soft. So you're always trying to mirror and match people, and try to be with them instead of against them. So yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, we're always constantly learning in sales, right?
Yeah, yeah. The day you stop learning is the day that you kind of start moving in the wrong direction, and we
Right.
don't want to do that. So talk to us a little bit about the kind of as you start getting into the real estate space. You talked about residential, you talked about commercial, but specifically talk to us because there's so many different people around the globe, and maybe don't understand a lot of the different dynamics that can be taking place in a specific location, right? Maybe somebody's living in, I don't know where, and they don't know much about South Florida. Talk to us about some of the things that are interesting, some of the things that are happening that may say, hey, you know what? Let me find out a little bit more about what's going on there.
Excellent. South Florida, I mean, what can you say? You've got beautiful weather, amazing beaches, beautiful people, and there has been so much growth over the last, let's call it, I mean, if I was to say 3, 5 years, let's even go back 10, 15 years. Areas that I would go and, knock on doors and talk to owners. They didn't realize that they might have a single family home, but the dirt underneath it is actually commercial. And you assemble a bunch of owners on a block, tear all those houses down and build. And that's kind of what's been happening in different areas here in South Florida, Edgewater, Design District, Little River. I mean, even in Fort Lauderdale, I mean, we've got the boat show that's actually happening this past weekend. You've got the Coconut Grove Art Festival. What brings a lot of people here, obviously now since COVID, is obviously governor is making an impact, taxes, and like I mentioned, just the growth of construction down here. Another thing that the mayor here in Miami is a lot of tech companies are moving here. Crypto, blockchain is a big conversation that's happening down here, Web3. And now here we have what AI that popped in on, our radar since November of 2022. So I think with the culture that we also have here in South Florida, it's a mix of Argentina, Colombia, even just people from California and New York. I mean, what else can I say? I'm in fabulous weather. I mean, the month of February is fantastic here in Miami, but I would say the culture and just a lot of development is going on here.
Yeah, and so when you take all these, take a number of these different factors, and I'm sure we'll give the Go Along family an opportunity to reach out to you and stuff like that, where you can find out specifically more detail. But when you think about everything from government to infrastructure to, we start thinking about high tech. You think about weather, which is one of the reasons that people like to move. I mean, I live in Barcelona, Spain, for goodness sakes. I like 300 days a year of sunshine. For some reason, it
Yes.
just feels great. Having the Mediterranean next to me and having the Pyrenees as a backdrop. Yeah, it's one of these things that are intangible that you really, it's something that can bring you to that specific area. You talked about the taxes and things like that, and also being, very, very business friendly as you start to think about it from an investing perspective, right?
It's great. Mm-hmm.
So talk to us a little bit about, because every time you're looking at this long distance investing, right? We're thinking about, we live in one place and we want to look at investing our time, our energy, our capital in another place. And you're a local expert, of course. And so talk to us also too a little bit about the foundation. And sometimes when you're looking to understand more about a team, you talked about the team that you're a part of. You're a boutique firm. So talk to us a little bit about what that means. What are a lot of the positive aspects for someone who is interested in learning more about how you can, get involved in what's happening in South Florida, and what are some of the advantages of working with the boutique firm?
Great question. And, Janet Crusette is the broker of Urbanize Properties, and her and I have been working together since 2004. And we actually created Urbanize Properties in 2015. I think what makes us unique is, I would say 85% of business that we generate is off market. And that is an advantage to our investors who are looking for non-competitive ways to buy properties. Not only that, I think the fact that providing good customer service in a boutique approach is also another competitive edge for us. We're always learning, we're always staying curious, and we're always thriving in South Florida. And we're always reaching out to new clients and providing them opportunities, whether it's in apartments, whether it's in development, warehouse. I think that is what helps attribute Urbanized Properties and being in business for so long. I mean, you've got the bigger, companies like Cushman and Wakefield, Marcus and Millichap, JLL, Newmark. And I think whenever you are having a more customer service oriented and your communication is on point, I think that's what really makes us thrive here in South Florida.
And so as you juxtapose some of the names that people would recognize globally, right? And you're helping us understand the advantages of working with the boutique firm. And you talked about service and client service and being able to have a direct interaction. Talk to us maybe a little bit about the engagement, like how, because I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm a high paid professional. I'm somebody who's out there, knocking down mid 6-figure salary. In a good year, one of my bonuses, I'm making 7 figures. And I know that I don't just want to be exposed to Wall Street. When I'm contacting you, is it something that I'm typically doing on my own, or am I probably coming in with a number of other people? Help me understand what that kind of looks like for you today.
Are you talking about like how we approach clients? Is that the
Well,
question
it's
or?
more the clients that approach you. Are they
Oh,
usually
okay.
individuals? Are they usually groups of individuals? Kind of
Got it.
talk to us a little bit about what that looks like for you.
Actually, it's a variety. It can be individuals that have, looking for JV. Well, sorry, let me back up. It could be a small group of individuals. It could be people that are moving here and looking to start their investment career. So
Mhm.
obviously, everyone has to start somewhere. We also have people that are bigger companies. Example, a deal that we did in Jacksonville last year was a 350,000 square feet warehouse, and Revlon, the global beauty cosmetic company, was the seller. And we
Mhm.
sourced the deal off market. We already had the buyer, and we successfully closed that last year. And it was a vacant warehouse building. And the buyer was someone that we had been working with for about a year and a half in sourcing deal flow. And he works as a company, but he also has investors that he brings on board. We have other companies that are looking for retail shopping centers. Example, just connected with one last week that is out of California that are looking to buy here in South Florida. A lot of, again, what we do is we reach out to people and create deal flow that is off the market. I will contact owners. Example, a company we work with out of Puerto Rico. They buy a lot of properties here in Florida as well as nationwide. And, one of the things that you always have to do is stay in front of them, because you're only as good as your last deal. And if you're not bringing deal flow, then you're not staying in their mind. And so one of the things I kind of pride myself on, and I hope I'm answering your question correctly, is, sometimes I just say, hey, how are you? What's happening this week? And just making sure that I'm staying with them, because maybe they didn't think of me. And now they're, oh, I should hit up Christine because I'm looking for this, or I want to sell this particular property. So hopefully I'm answering your question correctly.
Well, yours is not a right or wrong answer, and you definitely are answering the question. What you're doing, Christine, at the end of the day, is you're helping us understand, like, okay, yeah, I'm a high paid professional. Maybe I want to invest in things in a specific asset on my own. Maybe I know 3 or 4 other people, or maybe I know 10 or 12 other people, and we're interested in really understanding or exploring the opportunities that exist in the South Florida, or even as you talked about now that you are branching beyond South Florida, where are the specific opportunities? So just to as I reach out to you, I want to know that, okay, yeah, this is, I'm in Christine's wheelhouse. And I know you have your process and you'll help people understand whether or not it could potentially be a right fit or not. But it's just also too, I always like to think about the going along family, because they're probably
Let me
asking these
just add
questions.
here.
Yeah, yeah, please.
One of the things that I'm not in for the wham bam, thank you, man, quick. I want to build a future. So I want to know that when you're reaching out to me, I'm providing you the information on the property. Let's call it 100 units. You're looking for a rent roll, you're looking for expenses, you're looking for CapEx that have been done to the property, you're looking for condition. And a lot of times when I reach out to owners directly and or through my relationships with agents, when we work on these off-market properties, is I want to make sure I have all that information, because I know that is what the buyer is going to look for. And when I provide the information, I pride myself in doing it in a timely manner and providing as much accuracy as possible. As we know, agents get, the bad rap on, oh, they're inflating the information, so it makes the cap rate look better and things like that. And I'm just not in that column of, brokerage
Mm.
for people buying, properties. So I think that's one of the things, again, we pride ourselves on regard, in addition to the communication, it's just priding the accuracy of the information. And I think that's important too.
Yeah, information accuracy is absolutely key, and it is one of those things. As you become more and more experienced, you recognize how key it can, because it can help you to make a decision A or a decision B, right? But ultimately, it's to help you make a decision. You know,
And
you
I
go
just
ahead.
want to throw in here and just let
Yeah.
me say, it's not about, I mean, listen, we obviously work in sales to get a deal and to be able to create income, but I'm not in for it for the wrong reasons. And
Mm.
if I think a property is not worth it, and I think that it would be a bad investment, I will definitely share that, because like I said, I'm in for the long haul.
Yeah, and being in for the long hauls is a part of it, but right. But as you start to say 85% of the deals, are off market deals, that comes as a thanks to a deep relationship, right? Somewhere
Absolutely.
that has been fostered. It's not something that probably happened overnight. It's probably taken not even weeks or months. We're probably talking years, unless you
Well,
correct me,
yeah,
unless I'm saying something completely out of line.
yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that because that's one of the things that kind of plays into, um, let's say, right. So you're contacting owners, they might not know you, and yet you might have a property that might work for them. So it might be a relationship that you just start on a phone call. Now, obviously, that's going to take time to
Mhm.
create the opportunity, present it, lay it out. Example, if I may, a deal that we recently just sold in Ocala was 60 acres for development. And because I posted it on LinkedIn, a group out of North Florida reached out and said, hey, we want some help and have your team help us provide some land opportunities. And now I've been cultivating that relationship since December. And now we're already working on additional land. So what I'm saying is that sometimes it could be a longer relationship. Sometimes it could be a quicker relationship. The thing is, it just depends on how fast these people want to get a deal.
Yeah. And to your point, it's about establishing the right foundation so that there is
Correct.
a prospect of a longevity of a relationship. It's not something that's just going to happen one off and then you're on to the next thing.
Correct.
So one of the things, and this is, a lot of your current state and your future is formulated by things that have recently occurred in your life, right? That's because it's just with the things that are closest to our mind. And so we're talking about relationships, and I understand the importance of relationships, and those intentional relationships, right? And that is the foundation of so many things. Once you have your health, it's the relationships of the people that are around you, and then we and this is just me talking out loud because I've spent 21 of the 26 years of my professional corporate career, and then ever since then, in a service-based mentality or service-based profession, which is sales. And at the same time, none of that happens without having the right relationship, the right intentional relationship. So talk to us about that. You've mentioned it a bit, but talk to us a bit more about the importance of being able to establish the relationship and a clear understanding and a transparency around relationship of those that you are serving, and looking to gain access, Christine, to you and to your network of people. Talk to us a little bit about what that looks like on a normal basis to be able to develop the relationship over time, if there is a quote unquote normal.
Hopefully I'm going to answer this correctly. So
You
again, I
you
keep
will you
going
will
back to
you will
that.
you will.
Um, you know, I think one of the things, well, like I mentioned before, I'm not really shy talking to people. I could go to a grocery store, and if I see somebody, I would talk to them. If I'm, you know, I can't say, going into networking events, connecting with people, I'm not afraid to approach them and start the conversation. And I think I'm going to boost myself. I think with the warmth and the energy that I have, I attract people and they want to talk to me.
Mhm.
I also think that people feel and sense the sincerity in which I come from. So, how does that equate? I think that there are agents and brokers in the space that are bullies and they can come across in a way that they really just don't care and they just want the dollar and they want to look good with the plaque on their wall. And those things, they matter, but it's not really what's important. Like I mentioned, I want to create the future. I want to provide value for a long period of time. And I want them to refer me because they saw the value in what Urbanize Properties did for them. I also want to just mention, because of that sincerity approach, one of the things that I guess agents gravitate to, or should I say the natural path, is investing in real estate. And Jenna and I have been investing in real estate since 2015. And in 2019, we started in syndications. And as an agent approaching real estate, sometimes people question, hey, if you're an agent and you're an investor, how does that look for deal flow? And why don't you just keep it for yourself sometimes versus bringing it to other people? And I think if you're just upfront about everything, I think that that will create the path of going long in your relationships and your business relationships.
Well, first and foremost, I would have to say thank you for plugging going long. That was fantastic, wonderfully, that was masterful. And at the same time, I mean, what you're speaking to is that transparency. It's about being able to deliver the messages in a way that's going to help the person in front of you make a decision. Sometimes that decision
Correct.
will be one that moves them forward, and sometimes it will be one that moves them away from the specific opportunity. But having spent so much time in the profession, right, over a quarter of a decade, it is, you know, our role, I believe our role is to help people make decisions. It's to guide them along that path. And when you're doing that effectively, the goodwill is built, and will want them to come back, will lead them to come back to you. And so I appreciate the approach. I appreciate you also kind of breaking things down, and definitely appreciate the like the way that you tied in the going long. That was really, really masterful.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank
So,
you.
so Christine, is there anything that you want to add? Because like here's the thing, I mentioned to you, I have 3 questions that I have to ask you, and that's on the back end of the show, and that's kind of where we need to get to the going long final 3. But before we get to the going long final 3, is there anything that you want to add in or tell us that maybe you have not told us yet about what you have going on at Urbanize Properties, and how you're helping to serve others?
I think what we're always striving to do in urbanized properties is, you know, we're growing, thriving, and not just surviving. I mean, we are learning, we're staying curious, we track our progress, and, you know, growing our conversations with people like you in the audience in social media. And since Urbanized Properties 2015, like I mentioned to you, not only are we providing off-market opportunities for our clients, but we are also offering path to create for the future. And I guess I can't express enough that just showing up in an authentic way. And people, I think, really get a sense of how Janet and I come across that way. They know that when we talk to them and when we bring them an opportunity, that we're coming from truth. And when you create that foundation, people's going to pick up your phone whenever you reach out to them, because they know they've got something for them. And another thing I just kind of like to add with Urbanized Properties here, in being in South Florida, you know, listen, we're all witnessing the shift that's happening with interest rates. We're all witnessing the shift, and kind of like everyone's saying, hey, so how do you see the market? And then someone else asks you, hey, how do you see the market? And I think everyone's kind of taking that conversation and bringing it into, well, here's what I would say. And so I think there are plenty of opportunity that's coming. I think that we are going to put ourselves in the forefront of creating those opportunities, and just making sure that we're going to continue as Urbanized Properties and being the fantastic team that we are here in South Florida, like I mentioned, in other cities as well in Florida. Ultimately, since we started in real estate, Janet and I, we have now created a financial freedom that we are now starting to enjoy. And we're going to pass along to our families, and hopefully create some travel time through the growth of Urbanized Properties, and how we've taken our earned commissions and turned that into financial freedom. So I think that's something that we're looking forward to for sure.
All right. Fantastic. Well, Christine, I appreciate you sharing that with us. And I know we're going to give everyone an opportunity to find out exactly where they can find out, but I think it's urbanizeproperties.com. But that's just maybe, unless you want to correct me later, but you can repeat it. No, listen, the thing is, Christine, we got to get to the going long final 3. But the thing is, I will never, ever, ever, ever ask anyone, and I'm definitely not going to start today because you're my special guest, our special guest, unless you tell me that you're ready. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
You were born ready. I knew it. I knew it. So listen, we started with you over in South Florida. And you know, this guy here, the one that I'm pointing at, and if you're not watching the video version, everybody check out the video version, because I'm pointing to this person who you probably know from Columbus, Ohio, who's called Europe home for over 2 decades. And so I'm always interested because this is just like, even when I started this, though I've changed the question a little bit. So if you've not heard us on like episode 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, go back and listen to those all the way up until 300 and whatever this is now. Because I want you to share with us, Christine, what is your favorite European city that you've either visited or still on your bucket list to visit?
There are so many European cities I love, and I have traveled to several. I've gone to Amsterdam, Paris, London, Milan, and as of, I guess, 10 years ago, which seems recently, maybe
Mhm.
2014, I went to Spain, and Barcelona was one of the stops that I actually went. I was on a cruise, and I also went to France. And I would say what I'm looking forward to, which is a conversation that just popped up recently, is Croatia.
Oh, fantastic. I thought you were going to say Barcelona. I was going to be like, oh, gosh,
Well, I've
yes.
been there
No, I'm
and I
kidding. I know,
like
I
it.
know,
I
I know, I
like
know.
it a lot. I
Yeah,
actually had a couple of friends that just moved there from
well,
Miami that just relocated to Barcelona.
okay, well, let's talk about that afterwards. We'll talk about that
Okay,
afterwards.
okay.
But I went to well, I'm sharing here. I went to Dubrovnik last year, and it was really, really awesome in Croatia. It was a lot of fun, and so I can share a couple of things that, at least from my experience, it was really, really awesome. So I don't know if it was for Dubrovnik or maybe Split or one of those, but we'll make sure that we include that in the show notes,
Okay.
which I appreciate. And question number 2 is something that I have recognized for so many. I've been really, really fortunate, like extremely blessed to come into contact with so many like successful people. And I consider you to be someone who's also extremely successful because on a number of different levels, you continue to help and make a positive impact on others. Some of the things we just even scratched the surface and how you're making such a positive impact. But one of the things I've also recognized is really successful people, they don't get things right every single time the first time. Like usually we're seeing the umpteenth iteration of whatever it was that they were trying to do. And one of the things that has also separated those really successful people is every time that they do something and it doesn't get to the desired end state, meaning they made a mistake or call it a learning opportunity or whatever it is, without fail, the most successful people, every single time they have one really amazing thing in common, and is that they put different strategies, tactics, and actions in place to minimize the probability of something going wrong again. And so, what I'd love for you to do is not think about what went wrong, like if you're thinking of that scenario, because I know you are, because we asked you to do that or ask you to do that. But more importantly, what is the lesson that you learned when something didn't go wrong? Because I really want you to share the lesson that you learned, because that's the thing that's going to make the most lasting impact for the Going Long family. And also, it's going to help us, them, to minimize the probability of that exact same thing happening.
So here in business, I guess this is kind of how I would answer it. Lessons learned, because we know our craft so well that sometimes when we approach our clients, we have solutions, but first we have to build the relationship. And then on the flip side of that, that's also been to our success, as some clients want us to kind of just get right to it. And our enthusiasm with this approach is sometimes we strive to stay in active deal flow that we're providing for our clients, that we want to keep and repeat clients and generating business for them. And so I would say my lessons learned is like kind of what I mentioned before. You're only as good as your last deal. And if you're not staying in touch with your clients, if you're not providing the right opportunities and creating success for your clients, is purchasing a property. And I think that's really the biggest lesson, is you're only as good as your last deal. I think one of the things I wake up every day and strive for is just being a beast at what I do, but doing it with professionalism, enthusiasm, and being your word. I beat cancer in 2019, and I am here every day to be a stand for, well, believing in God, because without him, I wouldn't be here. And just, there were many lessons. Why, or is there lessons? I think it's more appreciative every day for the simple things in life. And there's people actually on LinkedIn that have reached out to me asking me for some guidance because they're either going through a struggle with their health. But I would kind of go back to, you're only as good as your last deal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're as good as your last deal. I appreciate your vulnerability and sharing with me and the entire Going Long family. And congratulations on your beating cancer. I think that's phenomenal. And it's one of these things also too, Christine, is when we recognize that we're all real people, we go through real things. I mean, life happened for me a lot
Yes.
recently, and so it's one
Yeah.
of these things where you start to recognize, like, wow, you know what? Christine's an absolute beast in what she does, and she's phenomenal. And at the same time, she's relatable. I can reach out to her, I can talk to her, and I can really ask her her advice on a couple of things, or maybe challenge some of the way that she's thinking, because she's a real person. And I think that is one of the most it's one of the most special things about any relationship that you can create, in the intentionality of those relationships, what we talked about in the very beginning, that comes through, and you can feel it. And so appreciate you sharing that. And also, just as a reminder to everybody, yeah, I mean, just continue to always focus on what it is that you're doing most recently, because that's what's going to leave the longest lasting impression. So question number
Thank you for letting
three.
me share that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the last of the Going Long final three, and then we're gonna wrap things up, Christine, is really about helping to feed our minds with knowledge. So I'd love for you to share with us one book recommendation.
The Gap in the Game. I just picked it up beginning of February. I attended a multifamily event in November in Orlando, and this young lady had mentioned it. And I've already been hearing people since last year's mention this book. And I started reading it, and it's like, wow, you really start to recognize when you're in the gap and when you're in the game. And here, being in sales, for sure, you can definitely spend some time in the gap, and then you've got to figure out what's the gain of something that you just learned. So that's the book that I'm recently learning
All
or
right.
reading
Reading. Fantastic.
and learning.
Fantastic. Yeah, yeah. It's a constant learning process, right? It's a constant learning process. The Gap in the Game, we're going to include that in the show notes as well. And Christine, I've been waiting forever for you to join me here and make this massive impact on the Going Long family. And I think, wow, you talk about, you're thankful for waking up this morning, and also being able to have that special birthday party that we're not going to tell anybody about. Your nephew's 9th birthday. I have to whisper that just in case. You never know. Um, and whether it was starting in Jacksonville, going to Texas, coming back to Florida, and recognizing, well, listen, even if you started one place and you were serving the public and doing that from a restaurant industry, and then you realize, like, hey, in 1999, there's this opportunity, and you're in South Florida, and you can move from the service industry on one side to service and sales, because at the end of the day, sales is a service-based industry, no matter what we are doing. And so it gave you the opportunity to really recognize this talent, this passion that you had inside, to be able to help others solve problems, to be able to use your ability to connect with other people. And then you went from there and then be able to take it even into the next step, which is in the real estate industry, being able to do that, whether it was residential, then recognizing that there was opportunity to even go beyond that and do such on a larger scale in commercial. And then
Yes.
today you're continuing to do that. You're continuing to build relationships. You're not just in South Florida, you're in other places. Heck, you're here even on the Going Long podcast, sharing this to a global audience, which is absolutely phenomenal. And so everybody's going, Billy, just ask her the question, man. So I'm going to ask you the question, Christine, because everybody wants to know, even though we've kind of already told them, what's the best way for the Going Long family to reach out to you, to find out more about you, what you've got going on, as well as what you've got going on at Urbanize Properties? Talk to us.
And fantastic question. Always happy to answer that. 305-318-6366. That's 305-318-6366. Christine, and here at Urbanize Properties, Christine at urbanizeproperties.com is my email address. Social media, which handle am I not on? I am not on TikTok, but I am on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. And then, of course, you have my website, urbanizeproperties.com.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Christine, thanks so much. I have, like, you just threw your number out there, and I take no responsibility for if your phone is blowing up all day, all
I look
afternoon.
forward to
No, yeah,
that.
yeah. Okay, there you go. No, so I do want to say, truly, on behalf of the entire Going Long family, thank you so much for deciding to invest your time with me, with us today. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Billy.
All right, cool. So listen, can you give me like 15 seconds? I'm just going to wrap things up, go along family, and then I'll get you out of here. I promise. Listen, everybody, this has been a long time coming. Really, really glad that you've had an opportunity to learn more about what Christine's doing, also the things that she's got going on in Urbanize Properties, being able to understand, connect more with her, with her story, how her and the team, how they are serving in investors, people looking to know more about the South Florida market. I'm sure you've taken a lot of value from this. Share today's episode. Share it with 2 or 3 other people, with family members, and then go from the sharing to also talking about the concepts that Christine was talking about. While you're doing that, I'll be here preparing for the next conversation. Okay. So until then, go out and make it a great day. And thank you very much. Love it. I knew that there was no way that was going to go 25 minutes. And I really tried. I was like, and he's going to be freaking out.
I know, right? It's going to go like, where am I going to cut this?
No, he's good. We don't cut it. We don't cut it. Yeah, we don't do that. We don't do that.
Awesome.
Well, listen, I tell you what, unfortunately, I need to jump on another
no,
session.
me too.
So I know you're probably over. So listen,
I have your email, right? The Billy at email. That's the one you responded to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I think so. And if not, it's just really easy. And I answer all my own emails, billy@billykeels.com. It's super simple.
Because on the podcast, they have it as Janet Crusett, and I just want to make sure that they don't mess that up.
Okay, perfect. Andy, did you hear that? Andy, did you hear that?
Yeah,
it's Christine Fluke.
Zoom okay.
Yeah, we'll make sure. And I'll even drop him a little note in Slack as well.
I'm so excited to stay in touch, and I'm going to be dropping in every once in a while, checking in on you. All right.
Okay. All right. Perfect. And I appreciate that. And I will do the same. Hey, listen, I've kind of, it's a self-serving kind of thing that I want to share with you. If you are open, do you have an iPhone?
Yes.
If you would be open to leaving an honest written review as well as rating, I would appreciate it. Number one. Number two, one of the things that one of my mentors, coaches shared with me is that if and when you leave your written review, at the bottom, if you put your name and your company name, it's a way for people to always find you as well. And because our podcast is rated in the top 1.5% of podcasts, we have some eyeballs that are there. So you probably will get 1 or 2 eyeballs your way as well.
I hope I get more than 1 or 2. Can I take a quick photo of us?
Yes, you can. Hang on a second. Let me go the other way. Will you share the photo with me?
Yep.
All right.
I'm trying to get it without the camera here, but
well, hey, listen. Well, you know what I'll do? Here, I will. If you want me to, I will do a screenshot.
Perfect.
Hang on a second. And we both have to look into the camera, and I will send this to you right away. Are you ready? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, wow, that looks great. Look, I'll even share this with you in real time.
Oh, okay. Let me download. Hold on. Let me grab my okay, so let me download this. You put this in the chat or?
No, it's just on the screen. Just look at the screen.
Oh, okay. Got it. That's
there we
beautiful.
Go. Yeah.
Wow.
I think it looks phenomenal. Awesome. I'm going to send it to you.
Perfect.
I will send it to you. All right.
Can I say God bless you?
Yes, you sure can. God bless you too, my friend.
Thank you so much.
All right.
I look forward to staying in touch.
All right. Likewise. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Ciao, ciao. Welcome to the Going Long Podcast. We're back once again to continue to help to educate you so you feel much more comfortable as well as confident investing beyond your backyard. I'm your host, Billy Keels, and guess what? Yes, I'm super excited to welcome you back to another amazing conversation. Today, you're going to get massive value. I'm absolutely convinced. And you know what? Before we get into that, though, I want to say thank you to you because you continue to invest your time here with me, with us. It's amazing. I really am grateful for that. And so also want to give a special thanks to those of you who continue to tag us across LinkedIn, across Instagram. It means the world to us. You're bringing more and more people to the Going Long family. We really appreciate that. Helps us to continue to stay in the top 1.5% of podcasts globally. And there's over 3.3 million podcasts. So that's absolutely awesome and attributed to you. So thank you so very much for that. Also, for those of you who want to check out any of the previous episodes, just go to billykeels.com/podcast. I think there's like over 390 some at this point in time, which is just absolutely phenomenal. Never thought we'd be at this point. So go to billykeels.com/podcast. Today, if you love the sales profession, if you love being able to serve others, if you love being able to connect with local experts, like you are really, really, really going to get a massive amount out of today's conversation, especially if you know when someone is also sharing and sharing some pretty vulnerable things about life and things they've overcome. I know you're going to get massive value out of today's conversation. Because today we're going to speak with the director of sales of Urbanize Properties, Christine Fluke, and we're going to get to that just after this.